Welcome to the Franchise Frontier, the podcast where we explore the evolving franchise landscape, dive into latest industry trends, and share actionable tools and tactics to help you build and grow your business.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Franchise Frontier podcast. Here we explore the world of business ownership, unlocking the keys to success while uncovering common pitfalls to avoid. Today, we're excited to welcome Kelli Katzman and Chelsea Turner. They're the owners of Blingle of Central Texas. Excited to have them both on the show and can't wait to dive in. Let's get started. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So Chelsea, if you don't mind, I'll let you start a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your background, kind of what you were doing before you got into business ownership, those type of things, just to give our listeners on what you've been doing.
Yeah, sure. So prior to Blingle, I would say the last 12 years before we started this business, I was primarily in medical device sales. So worked for big pharma, big corporation, always in a sales role. That's actually where Kelli and I met originally years ago. And yeah, that was my sales background, really, just the corporate world.
Okay. And Kelli, same question for you.
Yep. So I came directly from medical device sales, working with Chelsea. We actually met in pharma prior to that. That was the last, 13 years or so of my life. Started in business to business sales, complete corporate sales back.
And then at some point, I would imagine you guys conversated on the side and said, hey, you know what? Let's start something where we live. Let's start something together and kind of see how, and kind of dove into the possibility of business ownership. Is that correct?
Yes. So we became best friends through the process of working together. And Chelsea was kind of talking about starting her own business. My grandpa was an entrepreneur, so I've always kind of had that itch as well. And there was a boutique for sale in our town. And I started looking into that, and I went to Chelsea and I said, Chelsea, do you want to buy a boutique together? And she goes, no. So she goes, but I would actually love to go into business together. I think we'd be great partners. We've always worked well together. We partner kind of side by side in the two pharmaceutical and medical device roles. And her strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. So we decided we don't know anything about running a business. And so we knew franchise was a good option for us. So we hiked up to Dallas and franchise show and met an entrepreneur coach, and he kind of led the way to help us find where we are today.
Fantastic. Chelsea, what about you background wise? Did you have anybody in your life that was very entrepreneurial before, getting into this?
Yes. So funny. My husband has ran his own business from startup, like wrote his ops manual. He's been in business for 12 years for himself. He has a marketing firm. And for the last 3 or 4 years before we had left our corporate life, I'd been wanting to do something. And he's always said to me, well, just start a business. And I'm like, well, I've worked corporate for so many years. I can't just start a business, husband, it sounds so easy, right? So I knew that I needed a little bit of framework, a little bit of help and guidance in that. And so a franchise was always something that, was something I wanted to look into. And yes, so like Kelli said, we hiked up to Dallas, but I was like, hey, Kelli, why don't you come to this franchise expo with me in Dallas? She's like, huh? I was like, yeah. We had no intention of like going up there and walking away with like a pizza place in our hand or anything, right? But we just wanted to learn. And so that's kind of what led to the entrepreneurship coach and so forth. But yes, entrepreneurship, definitely, it's what our house is built on.
Yeah. And so you go to the franchise show, you meet a franchise coach and you start discussing. And I would imagine, like most people, you are blown away by how many franchises there are. I often tell people they're friends of mine, you really have no idea how many things are really a franchise until you get into it. But then once you know, you can spot them a mile away, right? Once you know. So then you guys get into that process and kind of, I'm sure you vetted multiple franchises and thought about, what fits our dynamic, what fits our area, what can we get excited about? Because again, at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. You have to be passionate about whatever business it is, regardless. And so take us through down that process just a little bit about how that went for you and how many things possibly you bounced around before landing on Blingle.
Yes. Bling was actually the first one that our entrepreneurship kind of brought to the table for us. This was after, weeks and weeks of like learning about Kelly and I and all the things that you just said, what was most important to us and what we wanted to bring to our community, where we felt there might be a need, all of that. But yeah, so Blingle would have been the first one. We immediately were like, that's very intriguing. We love that. It hit so many of our, nail on the head that we wanted out of uh, our careers and just, growing a business. And then there were a few other ones after that we went through that we also liked the idea, like a med spa, which was something that her and I maybe in the future still may do. We still really like the idea of bringing that to the community. But really, at the end of the day, it was about overhead costs, initial build out, just timing wise and funding, what made the most sense too. So Kelly can probably add a little bit more with, her opinion on the design and the need in the area too.
Yeah, to Chelsea's point, one thing that really attracted us to Blingle was kind of the quick startup opportunity. There wasn't a build out, and building at the time, just post COVID, we knew that we were ready to go and we couldn't wait for a build out. We were ready to get started. We were excited about the opportunity for Blingle. A lot of it, to her point, just met our needs as far as like income, lifestyle goals, giving back to the community. That was one of the other reasons we went into entrepreneurship. Like we wanted an opportunity to do what we were doing, but also feel like we were making a difference in our community. And we knew that this was the opportunity that would do that for us.
Yeah, it's incredible. I oftentimes tell people about Blingle. I don't know a better way to describe it, but Blingle is a sexy business. It photographs well. It looks nice in terms of the appeal. I think that you guys are hitting the nail on the head too in terms of, when you talk about some small businesses at this point too, and you get to a point where a lot of things are on social media, a lot of things are being generated by posts on Facebook, especially community centric businesses like home service. You know, the pictures from a premier lighting company are far superior than the pictures from a premier roofing company per se. And I think that, and again, as I am privy to from knowing the brand very well, like some of the photographs and reactions of customers and those type of things is like you cannot duplicate it with another brand. So I think that's cool that it kind of fit in your guys's wheelhouse of the sales portions of it, but at the same time the ability to beautify, we'll call it, the community or those type of things, or provide a service to a community coming around. So hats off to you guys for that for sure. So as you look into the beginning of your journey, Kelly, touch on the first year or so. Yeah, like what were the biggest surprises that you ran into?
So we came from corporate and we were provided vehicles with our last job. We were not prepared for the amount of time that it would take to go through the funding process was probably the first obstacle. So by the time we had given our notice to our company that we were leaving, obviously they took our vehicles and we we couldn't get a vehicle because we're going through funding and lending. So that was the first obstacle. I was basically under house arrest. It felt like I had no car. So funding, be prepared for that is definitely guidance I'd give anyone going forward. Just expect that it's going to take longer. And we have excellent credit. So has nothing to do with that. It's a process. I think for us, the other like obstacle getting started going forward was just like how much staff do we need? How do we staff? How do we scale? When do we know to scale? And those are obviously things that we're still facing. But just this was all new to us. Again, we came from corporate world, medical device, and pharma, and it was all right. Now we're selling to homeowners and businesses. So you got this business to business, but also we need to learn business to consumer, and we need to learn the products, the install process. how to run a business. It was all the things at once. Right, Chelsea?
Yes. I was like, I mean, it's hard to say, what were some big surprises because, I mean, truthfully, Kelly and I, when we started, we didn't know what we didn't know, which was most of everything. So not that there were obstacles where, we felt defeated or deflated at all, right? These were all things that we were ready to tackle and took on, but a lot of it, like just the smallest things we don't think about, like the next job site we go to, and it's like, oh, we didn't have that tool. Now we need to purchase that. Just these little things where it's like, okay. And it takes a solid 18 months or at least a season of each of these holiday or different types of lighting and services that we offer to really get the hang of it. So for me, I mean, yeah, the inventory, the management, all of the tools and expenses that come along with those were a little bit of a surprise, if you will, I think, for us the first year or two.
Yeah, I believe too, and again, you can look at a piece of paper that says or an onboarding thing that says, "These are the tools you will need." And it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense until you've done the job, the install, or seen said tool in action to go like, "Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense now that I think about it." I think, there's so many times that and I don't even wanna say they're mistakes that are made. It's also about understanding where you guys land, right? In terms of I can imagine when it comes to running a business, obviously there's different, from being in the corporate world. You have to figure out, okay, so I always use the plane moniker in terms of this. Like, are we the 50,000 foot or is Chelsea 50,000 and Kelly's 40,000? And then where do we fit other people in that that figure those other layers of getting us to ground level and doing a great job? Because hiring 3 other great people to be at the 50,000 foot thing does you no good. It doesn't do you any good, and so it's also for you guys realizing, "What's my real identity as a business owner versus as a W-2 employee?" So I come to find out I'm a 30,000 foot person. I'm an integrator, not a visionary, whatever that might be. I know that that oftentimes is a not a struggle, but that is something that is probably the most eye-opening for people that come from corporate world 100% and then get into business ownership is realizing where they land, right? Realizing their ultimate strengths and where they land in that, and then hiring around that versus this is a great person. Well, it doesn't matter how good they are. If they're doing exactly what you do, then it's not a great person for the position. So again, it's a testament though to you guys to have a high level of figure it out, right? Figure out where we land, figure out how the process goes, figure out the people that we need for our team, and then build it out from there.
Yes.
And
Love
so
problem solving.
opposite of surprises, were there any other challenges that were like something like, oh, I remember this and this was difficult for us to wrap our head around getting started?
I'm probably hiring the right people to start. I mean, we went through, gosh, I don't know what, 6, 9, almost a year, I guess. Our first full year with still a very much corporate mentality and like offering a salaried position right away to people and thinking that that was going to be the motivator for them to work. And it's just a different beast, right? Like it's labor work out here. So we thought we want to build this culture. We have our core values, which we hold very important in our business. And so that's kind of where we started when we were hiring. But we definitely have pivoted a little bit from that. And I think that was probably our biggest learning and challenge, if you will, because at the end of the day, it ended up costing us a lot of money,
Yeah.
in the business. Um, for me, I definitely hiring the right people.
Kelly, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, and that's always a challenge. Like when we hire, to your point, like we love people, right? Like, so we want good people, we can train, but we just want people who have good intentions are good people. Meanwhile, and then we know that we're responsible for their life, like their livelihood. So I think that is a little challenge too, because you feel like so responsible. It's not like they're our kids, but it's like you want to take care of them. You want to make sure that they have what they need to survive. So there is that on our shoulders all the time too. Like we have to be successful and we will be, but like we have people depending on us too now. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kelli, let me ask you this. So now that you guys have settled into that a little bit, or you feel like you've settled a little bit, describe for you a typical day in the life as a business owner.
oh my gosh, that's really hard to answer because every day literally is different.
The answer most times that I wait for is there's no typical day
There
in being a
isn't.
business owner. Yeah.
There's not like, and you're responsible for your schedule, which is great, but you have all the business things going on. So like if we have installs going on, Chelsea or I are typically on site. We like to have that like quality control. We also love to get to know our clients. And so we want to be there. So one of us is on site. We're typically climbing up the ladder, handing tools or, cutting tracks. I mean, we're doing all the things too, plus running the business in the background. So then you might be sweating, cutting a track on a job site, and then you come home and you're doing accounting, and then you're following up on sales, and you're doing all the things.
And Chelsea, what have you seen in terms of how customers react to the fact that it's either yourself or Kelli on the job site? The fact that they get to meet, like, for example, it's you're the owner of the company. I would imagine, especially in Texas, I would imagine that there's a little bit, it's nice, right? It's nice that they get to meet the owner. They probably appreciate that. What have you seen in terms of that, how the customer journey has went?
Yeah, I think it is a differentiator for us, hands down, in terms of the other businesses that do what we do. I mean, there aren't very many that even do what we do and specialize in outdoor lighting, and there are even fewer that do it really well like we do, right? And I think being that we are the owners, we are the lighting designers, we are also the salespeople, we are also helping install, but they see us, the homeowners see us on site from their first phone call when they call our website number, it's Kelli or I answering the phone and talking to them. So they are literally through that entire journey, to phone call, to text messages, to the design, install, warranty, maintain. We're there the whole time. So every customer and every client that we have, I would say we got number one for that reason.
That's awesome.
They love it.
I can just imagine the customers are surprised by that in the beginning, but it's probably just as refreshing. We know that there's a typical day outside of December and there's a typical day inside of December. Talk us through your first holiday season and how much of a whirlwind that felt like, to realizing that like that is probably the most strategic time of year in terms of getting things done because the dates don't move.
So yeah, we went through two now, and I mean, we've reflected, we've looked at everything, and I will say year one to year two, we were 200% more efficient in terms of we did double the amount of jobs in the second year that we did the first year with the same amount of people. So you do learn a ton. But you're right. That window is 8 weeks. There's not stopping that time frame. I mean, that's what it is, what it is. You have your few loyal clients that'll give you, install before Halloween in October, but really it's 6 to 8 weeks. And I remember the first year because again, we were doing everything. We had to train. So we were installing. I was on every roof, I own Cougar Paws, the roofing boots, all the stuff. So, but coming home, when it's dark at 8 o'clock at night, missing dinner with the kids, missing everything. And, looking at my hands kind of going like, oh my gosh. I mean, just our bodies hurt. We were just exhausted. Now that doesn't go away in terms of like the second year, you are just as busy and you are very tired, but it feels easier, period, which is nice, right? That's the goal. So,
Kelli, well, go ahead, dive in on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's so true. I think the efficiency was our biggest takeaway, on what we've learned from the first year. Also, scheduling. The first year, I mean, we were literally just doors opened. So we didn't really know how long things would take us, and we were all learning. We had a great season, but we were so overwhelmed that we had to turn people away. Like we just didn't have enough time in the schedule. So by the second year, we knew, okay, let's reach out to our loyal clients. Let's get them in first. Let's make sure they have priority installation. So now we promise that for all of our clients, they get priority install. We will never turn them away. They get installed in October. And so, yeah, this year our season started. It was twice as long. We started in October and we went through December, but we knew what we were doing. Our crew is awesome. One thing that we pride ourselves is just paying attention to detail. It's what sets us apart, and our crew understands that too. And so we've become efficient. We can still pay attention to the details. We can get more clients in. So we're excited to repeat it next year. But to Chelsea's point, it's a lot. It's exhausting. It's draining. We literally take that week after Christmas off before we go back and start taking down again in January. But we need it and we deserve it. Our crew deserves it. Yeah, it's well deserved time off.
Yeah, and I think to your point, the only benefit of coming home at night is being able to see your project versus other people's projects and feel really excited about how great yours looks, right? You get done and you're just like, man, and you want to be over the moon excited about the project, but you're like, I'm done with this current house. I'm ready. I want to come look at it tomorrow because today I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, going back and seeing your projects is so fun. Like
That's what we
I
did for our Christmas party. Sorry.
yeah, we did. We rented a party bus and we went around and looked at our
That's
projects with our
awesome.
crew.
That's a great idea. I think, to your point, one of the things that people don't realize, and you probably didn't in the very beginning either, legitimately a difference in a professionally done Christmas job and somebody who's done their own lights, just the brightness. You turn a corner and you go, well, that's not hard to figure out which one we did. It's
Mhm.
this one or that one, or, and again, all that does for your sales moving forward is creates an incredible amount of FOMO of the neighbor across the street that's being blinded from 6 p.m. to 10 when the timer turns off. So that's awesome. I never thought about that. That's a great idea. Our season is wrapped up per se. It's kind of the end of the year celebration. Let's get a party bus. Let's drive around. Let's look at our jobs. Bring your pliers just in case one of the lights are out. We'll change it quick.
It was super.
We chatted about it just a little bit, but Chelsea, touch a little bit on what part of this job, now that you're a business owner, what part you find the most rewarding?
I think you already said it just a few moments ago, but it is by far hands down the look on the customer's face when they see the finished product, right? And the finished project. When you get to walk around the property with the homeowner or business owner and they just are in, wow, they love it. That's the best part. It is. I mean, even the first season with Christmas, of course, we did some homes that were friends of ours down the road or in my neighborhood. And their little kids go to school with my kids and they're yelling at me, Miss Chelsea, what are you doing on the roof? And it was just,
Yeah.
it was the cutest. I loved it. It's the best thing ever. So it is the clients that we work with, the homeowners, and the finished product is always my favorite part of the job because I
Kelly?
know I'm so hands on the whole time.
I think for me, one of the most rewarding things is our capability now to give back. So we leverage, what we're able to offer to give back to the community. So this past year, we did a Blingle Blessing, is what we called it. And we reached out and said, hey, if you know anyone or any family in need of a little like extra boost, a little extra cheer, maybe they've had a little hardship, let us know. And we got a lot of response to that. And we were able to provide a home with a free lighting design, installation, takedown, all of that for a very deserving family. And showing up that day, it was just Chelsea and I. We went and did it ourselves for them, but we talked to the homeowners, interviewed them. We were all crying, but it was so sweet and just something that we wouldn't be doing if we were at a corporate job, right? And like we controlled it all, and it's amazing. I love that we're able to do things like that. That to me is the most rewarding.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't imagine there was a dry eye when you guys did that. And again, it goes back to what we talked about when you speak about Blingle in general, like being able to provide somebody with a fantastic holiday season or one of those seasons, and you're able to do something like that for a family, and you know that It's gonna take their breath away. It's gonna shock them. The kids are gonna be like over the moon about it because they just, for whatever reason, they can't provide that for their family. It's not for lack of effort. We know that for sure. That is just probably something that they're just like, I never thought our house would be the house that people are talking about. So again, I think again, fantastic job for you guys.
Did I will say one thing that stood out for us too, I think, was the very first year we had a local organization reach out, and they're called Hope House, but they house kids and adults with profound disabilities. And they had never had Christmas lights before. And he reached out to us like, hey, you don't have to do this, but you know, it'd be really cool if you guys could do anything. And we were like, what? Absolutely. So our very first season, we kind of started our give back, and that we put on lights on both locations for Hope House, and we've continued that. So we did it again this year, and just anytime we can get back when it has to do with the kids, Christmas lights, like
I
absolutely.
mean, there's a ton to be said for if you're able, giving back, giving to somebody at any time, how it makes you feel is worth every penny. Chelsea, what are your thoughts on the Hope House and those type of things? How did that kind of affect? I know you guys are working together on most of that stuff, but like, tell me some of your reactions from being able to do some of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, again, we started this company because we wanted to be really involved in our community. When Hope House approached us, it was a partnership immediately with them in that organization. They are, they've been in Liberty Hill for a really, really long time, which is the hometown here in Liberty Hill, even though we cover all of Central Texas, right? But yeah, that partnership has grown. So not only, the Christmas lights that we're doing, but we're looking for ways to bring some permanent lighting to some brand new buildings that they had just donated, got donated on their property and built for more to house more of these children. And I feel that every business should be supportive in their community, but definitely always work with somebody that they can hang their hat on and say, we support this cause, right? And so Kelly and I, moving forward, I think Hope House is a big one for us, and we hope to continue to do a lot more. I mean, we love it. It's the backbone of what we do.
That's awesome.
When we can do it, we can only, we're still very small, so we give what we can for sure.
And so when diving into the business a little more, if you were talking to somebody who was considering business ownership, what advice would you give them, Chelsea, before taking the leap?
For taking the leap,
Minus the fact that you need to make sure you have a car before you get your fund.
yeah, I was going to say, are they doing it with their best friend? Because if they're not, they should. That's kind of ridiculous. Because that really is the best part of being a business owner. Um, but I don't know. Outside of that, like there's so much. I feel like I don't know
I
that
mean,
I could.
oftentimes what we hear from people sometimes when
Yeah.
I ask that question is just like, realize it's difficult. It's tough. Business ownership is not easy.
Yes. I mean, I felt like that's almost a given, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. So that's fair. Yeah. I mean, just be prepared to work more hours than you've ever worked in your life. Period. Um, know that it's more just as or more rewarding than maybe the corporate job you had, even if you're not making the same amount of money. You know what I mean? Like you're working harder, it's more rewarding, even though I'm paid less right now, and that's just the truth.
Kelly, what are your thoughts?
She nailed it. That's exactly what I would say.
Uh,
You, I mean, I've never been happier with what I'm doing in life. I mean, we had very, very good benefits, salaries, jobs in the past, like ones that I had always dreamed to have, right? But there's just something to be said, like when you're in full control of your life and what you're doing with it. And so be prepared to not maybe have the income that you once had if you had a really nice income. But your peace of mind and happiness is worth it. And you're working harder, but you feel the reward. You feel that outcome. You're so fully vested in it because it's your baby, it's your company, and definitely do it with your best friend.
It definitely fills a different bucket. a bucket that you might not have known was even there, right? In terms of how it makes you feel. Kelli, is there any like a skill that you say would be essential for running a business? You have to be able to do this thing. It's a skill set.
I mean, problem solving, right, is probably a given. But to me, I think you also have to have you have to have somebody in the company, whether it's yourself or your partner or whoever, but someone's got to be that person who's constantly thinking down the road and not just what's in front of you. But that's the great thing about Chelsea and I. She is like in the moment. And I'm like, so 5 years from now, what are we going to do about this? And you need both. You need
You got to
somebody.
have a visionary and you got to have an integrator,
Yeah.
right? Chelsea, what about you? A skill or a trait that someone should have when thinking about running a successful business?
I would say that if like if you don't function well outside of routine, like a non-routine, because when you're starting a business, there's no real routine, right? Every day is so different. And it's so important to be able to pivot and make changes like this and execute them well. So just, I would say flexibility with all of that is so important for success.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chelsea, if you were looking back and had to do it again, had to start over, what would you do differently to prepare?
To prepare to start the business,
Yep.
yeah, I probably would hit the ground running more on the sales side of things versus thinking more like operationally and, like all the back end stuff that goes with it, accounting and the HR and all that stuff, like doing all of that when really I think um, from day one I should have just been out on the ground because I'm more of the sales lead. I would have done that starting earlier on. Like, so much farming has to go into this brand awareness and building your brand that if you're not out there doing it, it's not going to happen on its own. Nobody knew who Blingle was in this area. So maybe do that sooner.
Yep. Kelli, what's your thoughts on it? Same?
To me, everything we do is an opportunity to learn, right? It's all a life lesson. But I'm really proud of Chelsea and I. I mean, I feel like a lot of things that we did from day one were the it's panning out. It's been incredible.
Let's talk quickly about long-term vision. First, I want to touch on the fact, right? Best of Liberty Hill Community Choice. Talk a little bit about that. What that is. Let our viewers know about that award. And I know you had mentioned that was something that you had thought about down the road, and maybe it happened sooner than you thought.
Yeah, Chelsea and I, when we started Blingle, we wrote down our 1 year, 5 year, and 10 year goals, and earning Best of Liberty Hill was in our 5 year plan. And we just completed our first full actual fiscal year and won Best of Liberty Hill that first year. So it was an incredible feeling. And it comes from the community. We were community choice, which means the community voted on us. And that's so touching to our hearts. Like, incredible.
So now our 5 year goal will to have outdoor lighting actually be a category maybe for best of. And then hopefully we win that too.
Yeah, that's good. So as you guys look, talking about your long-term goal, what's next? Are we doubling down on our process and our procedures and just looking to be cleaner? Is the future, I don't know, like you said, is it another territory? Is it another business possibly? What do you guys see as the future for you?
And we want to double for sure. Like, our goal is to grow what we have right now, grow that business. We'll always be a part of it. We'll always be in the trenches. But if we can step back a little from having to do the install, maybe just be on site for quality control and whatnot, that would be ideal. Although there is something to be said about looking at a project that you completed. I think that's the creative side of us that we love. But yeah, maybe a little bit more hands off, a lot more community involvement. We're already doing our best to step into that now and grow the business.
Cool. And so I like to ask these 3 and out questions. These have nothing to do with business ownership. It's about you. So I'll ask Chelsea first. What's your go-to unwind after a crazy day?
Keela?
There. There. Kelli?
I love reading. I'm such a homebody, but a good book, maybe a glass of wine, but for sure a good book.
I mean, you said Chelsea's this portion and I'm this portion. So tequila and a book and you guys are set. So Kelli, coffee, tea, or an energy drink?
Energy drink. I don't drink coffee unless it's a peppermint mocha. I don't like tea, but you will not see us on a job site without energy. Without,
Can I ask favorite energy drink?
I like Alani's or Amino energies.
Chelsea, same? Are you your energy drink gal?
Coffee, tea, and energy all day. So yeah.
Okay. I
And
like it.
I'm an Alani. Yep, hands down. I have a garage.
Okay, this last one, Chelsea, I'll let you kick it off. One piece of advice you would give your 25-year-old self.
Be to wear tennis shoes out to the clubs instead of heels like I did. The girls these days, they
That
are
is a
smart
very
because they
that is a
wear
very
sneakers.
that is a very specific hey, heads up, you should be wearing tennis shoes out at night, just so you know. Kelli, you have anything?
I think just trust myself. Like, trust the decisions you're making. I am not a risk taker. I'm a lot more risk averse. So I have a tendency to just overthink things before I do them. Just trust myself, trust my gut, trust your friend. She knows what she's talking about.
That's awesome. I appreciate you guys giving us an insight on everything. So for everybody, thanks for joining us on the Franchise Frontier podcast. I hope today it gave you a clear look into the journey of business ownership. And if the ownership's calling your name, don't ignore it. The playbook is out there. The question is, are you ready to run it? Remember, if you get a chance, like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.